We do not want to do the wrong thing, especially when it is within our control. That sounds reasonable, right? But in reality, there is another possibility, and it can be devastating. Over the years, I have learned that one of the greatest miseries in life, surprisingly, is not doing the wrong thing, but doing the right thing at the wrong time. Like launching a great business idea before the market is ready for it, or trying to save a relationship when the other person has already emotionally left. And when such things happen to me, it is, to say the least, upsetting. At times, it can feel deeply discouraging. The idea is great, the intention is sincere, the effort is real, and yet nothing feels right. You push harder, but nothing moves. Not because you are wrong, not because the path is impossible, but because the timing is not right. And in those moments, I often wonder, what if timing could be understood instead of merely guessed? What if you could read timing the way a farmer reads the seasons? So certain, so that you would naturally do the right thing at the right moment. You would waste less energy, face less resistance, and become far more effective in what you do. But is this really possible? Is there truly a way to read timing in life? Most people won't think so, and that's where timing is often misunderstood. Many people think timing is about luck, intuition, or passively waiting for opportunities to appear. But the truth is, timing is often far more predictable than we realize, because timing is deeply connected to how life naturally moves. Just as a farmer reads the seasons, we too can learn to read the conditions around us. And once you understand this, you begin seeing timing everywhere. In business, in relationships, in leaderships, even in the way you manage your daily work and projects. When this is the case, the question becomes interesting. How do we actually read timing? There are many ways to approach this, and I'm going to share with you more. But in this video, I would like to share one perspective that can be life-changing. To understand timing, many of us first need a shift in perspective. Because the first step to reading timing is understanding how life moves. And this is where many people struggle. Because most of us are trained to think differently. We are trained to think linearly. We see life as moving in straight lines. A day begins in the morning and ends at night. A project starts, then finishes. Growth goes upward, success moves forward. Of course, linear thinking is useful. It helps us plan, measure, and execute. But when it comes to timing, linear thinking can become a blind spot. Because nature does not move in straight lines. Nature moves in cycles. The day begins in the morning and ends at night, but night is also the beginning of the next morning. Winter is not truly an ending. It is preparation for another spring. And once you begin seeing life cyclically, timing starts making far more sense. Because every situation has a season. A season for beginnings, a season for growth, a season for harvest, and a season for rest and recovery. When we fail to see this, We often suffer unnecessarily. We try to force growth during seasons of rest. We cling to things that are naturally ending. We become impatient when life is still preparing the conditions. But when you begin seeing life cyclically, the question itself changes. You stop asking, how do I make sure I get the results I want? You begin asking, what season am I in? That is the real question of timing. Spring is birth, summer is growth, autumn is harvest, winter is conservation and recovery. And after winter, spring returns again. The farmer understands this deeply. He does not sow seeds in winter and become frustrated when nothing grows. He does not try to harvest in spring simply because he is impatient. He follows the rhythm of nature. And because he moves with the rhythm, his effort becomes far more effective. Not necessarily because he works harder, but because he works in harmony with the season he is in. This is one of the deepest principles of timing. When we work against the season, life feels heavy. But when we move with it, there is often less friction, greater clarity, and a surprising sense of effortlessness. The same principle applies to almost everything in life. Building a business, growing a YouTube channel, launching a marketing campaign, even relationships. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine a salesperson trying to sell me a vacuum cleaner. I have met salesperson who immediately ask, would you like to buy this vacuum cleaner? Sometimes this works. If I already intended to buy one, then the timing is perfect. But if I have no interest yet, resistance appears immediately. Why? Because the salesperson jumped straight into autumn, the harvest season. But there was no spring first, no seed, no curiosity, no emotional connection. At that moment, the right thing is not to close the sale. The right thing is to awaken interest. Perhaps show me a problem I never noticed. Perhaps demonstrate how much dust exists in the house. Perhaps let me experience the convenience myself. That is spring. Then comes summer, where interest begins growing. Now the features, benefits, and comparisons start making sense. Eventually, if the salesperson is observant, a moment arrives when resistance drops. The customer leans forward, he asks buying question, his mind is already moving towards the decision. There's autumn, there's time for harvest, close the sales. And after the sales, winter begins. Support of the sales service, building trust, allowing the relationship to settle and strengthen. And eventually, another spring comes again through referrals, repeat customers, or new opportunities. This is timing, not forcing things to happen at the moment we want, but recognizing what season the situation is actually in. Can you see what timing really is? Timing is not predicting the future. Timing is recognizing the season you are in and doing what that season requires. When you understand this, something remarkable begins happening. You start getting more results with less force, less friction, less resistance, less wasted energy. This is why great strategists throughout history pay enormous attention to timing. Sun Tzu, the military strategist, for example, said, "The skilled warrior puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible and does not miss the moment for defeating the enemy. And elsewhere, he reminds us, the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. In other words, you can prepare yourself fully, you can strengthen your position, you can become ready, but victory happens when the conditions finally open. There is timing, not forcing results before their season arrives, but recognizing when the moment has truly ripened. So wisdom is more than knowing what to do. Wisdom is knowing what seasons you are in and what that season requires. Because a seed grows effortlessly in spring, but struggles in winter. And many people suffer, not because they are on the wrong path, but because they are trying to force the right path at the wrong moment. When you understand timing, you stop fighting the rhythm of life, and that is when effort begins to feel effortless. This is the art of flow. This is the practice of Wu Wei.